Good afternoon and welcome to SnapTech IT's webinar for August 2026. My name is Ted Hulsy. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for SnapTech IT and your host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This session will be recorded and circulated to all registrants, and you can always access our on-demand library of content on our YouTube channel. Today's topic is AI for your email inbox. I'm joined today by Brandon Garner, who is our sales engineer. Brandon, welcome to the webinar.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
Okay, awesome. Well, we've got some great demos in store. Brandon has gone super deep on this topic, and he actually inspired Nathan and I to bring him on stage, if you will, because he was sharing with us some really cool things that he's doing with his own work life to be absolutely highly productive, and especially with email and using AI. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We like to spend 1 to 2 minutes just letting everybody know who we are in case there's any prospective clients here who've never met us before. But SnapTech IT, we are a cybersecurity first IT service provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. When clients come to us, they usually bring technology challenges. Those technology challenges can take a lot of different forms. Sometimes somebody has an existing IT service provider working for them, and it's just not working out. Other times, organizations have let their infrastructure or technology get long in the tooth, and they're suffering the ramifications of that. Or potentially, they're just losing sleep about cybersecurity topics in many cases. And our philosophy, of course, is that technology should be solving your business problems, not creating them. And so we try to solve those problems when we bring on a new client. We implement our proven process. Every single one of our clients will have a technology plan, a technology roadmap, a predictable IT budget. We implement all of our best practices and cybersecurity measures so that organizations can work securely wherever their people are. Now, with technology, things always break. No matter how well you configure and deploy things, users will need help. And we also supply fast and friendly IT support to users throughout the workday to get them back focused on their business. But ultimately, our clients come to us and they will have the peace of mind that they're working with a professional organization that's solving their technology challenges and maximally investing in cybersecurity and their cyber defenses. We work with clients in two different ways. If you're a smaller organization, we deliver what we call fully managed IT. If you're a larger organization and you have an IT director or an IT manager or even a full IT team, we can put together a customized IT outsourcing strategy, and we call that co-managed IT. And the way clients usually get started with us will usually either start with a cybersecurity risk assessment, or more and more, we're talking to a lot of companies today about their struggles with AI. I mean, AI is an amazing technology. We spend a ton of time educating clients on it, but a lot of organizations and leaders feel a little frustrated because they're investing a lot of time and money and software and licensing costs, but they're not satisfied with the levels of productivity and innovation in their organization. So we're doing a lot of things to help jumpstart and accelerate clients' AI journeys. So that's it in terms of the infomercial about who we are. The rest of today is all about how to leverage AI to manage your email and manage your inbox. Just a quick snapshot of what we're going to look at in today's agenda. Um, I'm going to start out and give a very short introduction to Copilot Cowork. I guess just one topic to mention at the top here is that today's session is not a focus around, say, one particular AI tool like Claude or like Microsoft Copilot Cowork. We're looking at a range of different tools that are at your disposal, and in many of the things we're going to show, you can use different tools to accomplish the same thing. But we're going to show the tools we're using day to day in our business, and the things we're showing clients how to use to help them boost their own productivity. So Brandon's going to bounce around between a couple different tools. I'm going to focus on Copilot Cowork, but We're going to look at how to tame your inbox, how to get ready, how to leverage a tool to get ready for meetings when you're in a rush and you need to be absolutely prepared for a meeting. We're going to show how to create rules. We're going to Brandon's going to show an inbox command center that he's built. He's going to look at how you can monitor sentiment for those of you who get a large volume of email and you may be in a support function or a service function or an operational function. Sometimes you want to keep a tab on the sentiment of the emails being sent to you. And there's other things you want to automate in your calendar. So Brandon's going to spend the bulk of today doing the demos, and we'll get into that in a second. But I really want to encourage you, ask questions as we go along. Um, Brandon's monitoring the Q&A log while I'm talking, and I'm going to do the same while he's talking. So just a couple comments. We are going to kind of focus a lot on Anthropic's Claude solution, and we're going to talk a lot about Microsoft Copilot. Those are two solutions that we're using more and more in SnapTech's business, and both of those solutions are kind of taking off big time in a lot of different ways. But just to give a quick understanding, just to talk about licensing and where you access these tools. So Anthropic, their premier solution is called Claude. And if you're a business customer of Claude, you usually sign up, and you're a small and medium business, you sign up for the Claude team subscription. So that's ideal for teams that are anywhere from 2 to 150 people. And that is about $20 per user per month. And with that business class subscription, you do get access to Claude Cowork, which is the local client that runs on your machine, your Windows or Mac machine, to do more advanced functions with the AI tool. So that's where Brandon's going to be showing you how to use Claude Cowork. And then Microsoft just went generally available about 4 weeks ago with what they call Copilot Cowork. And Copilot Cowork is the automation solution that Microsoft has introduced that is baked right into the Copilot experience. So when you want to automate a task that is, if you have a task that's repetitive, you want to use an agentic approach to it. If you have work that is kind of disparate and not repetitive, so working on things like email or your calendar, preparing for meetings, that sort of thing, Cowork is that sort of tool that allows you to, with a natural language prompt, tell the AI tool to go do something, to organize something, and to go work on something in the background. And it could be like, organize my inbox in this way, or digest my calendar in this way. That's what you use Copilot Cowork for. You need to be licensed on the premium version of Copilot, and the licensing for Cowork is variable. So it's roughly 1 cent a credit. So anyway, that's a little bit about licensing. I think what I want to do is now our plan is to get into the demos. So I'm going to pop out of PowerPoint here, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing that. And I'm going to now share my screen, my main screen. Let's try that. Okay, this is what I want to share. Share this. And I am going to bear with me here. I'm going to bring this video over. Well, actually, one thing I'm going to show first. I'm going to show, let's get, oh boy, here we go. I'm going to first show you, just what are we looking at here. So the very first thing I want to show you is I just want to give you a lay of the land. If you are a Microsoft 365 customer, this is what the default Microsoft web interface to your environment looks like today. Even if you have the free version of Copilot Chat, this is where you land. So if you type in your browser Microsoft365.com or Office.com and you authenticate with your Microsoft credentials, this is where you land. And what does it look like? Well, it looks like a ChatGPT window, right? So this is whether you're on Google Gemini or you're on ChatGPT or you're on Claude Chat or you're on Microsoft Copilot. Chat is kind of the standard starting point, right? We have a window here. And with Microsoft Copilot, one of the things that makes Copilot really unique is that Copilot is plugged into all of your emails, all of your work content. So all of your files in OneDrive and SharePoint, all of your Teams messages, your team chats, the recaps from meetings you've attended, the transcripts from meetings you've attended, and all of that can be searched from the chat window. Now, that's obvious, right? And we're all very familiar with that. And then you over here, you have the agents. And this is where if you have a very specific task you want to perform and you want to create a PowerPoint from scratch, or you want to create an Excel spreadsheet that might be a synthesis of a couple different other spreadsheets, or you want to have a spreadsheet analyzed or a data set analyzed, you would use the agents. And some of the pre-built agents are over here, and you can go customize and build your own agents for your organization. And then the newest addition to all of this is Cowork. So Cowork lives right over here. So you've got chat and Cowork. You toggle over to Cowork. Now, the important thing is that your administrator does need to make sure that you've got Cowork, the licensing for Cowork correctly configured. I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's a variable-based pricing, so you got to keep that in mind. And you've got to be aware that when you're using Cowork, it's the meter starts running. So you give it a task, it's going to use up credits. All right, so let me just show. I want to show two different demos, and I want to make sure I get this thing over there. Okay, great. So what I have here is I'm going to hit the play button and start talking about what you're seeing. So what I'm going to show in this very short video is taming my inbox. So I recorded this the other day, and whoops, it stopped running. Let's let it run. So I recorded this the other day, and all I did is I simply clicked on organize my inbox down here right below the Cowork window. And what Cowork automatically does is it starts to triage your inbox. So it takes like a 24-hour period and it says, "Hey, all the email that's come in today, I'm going to help you triage it." And so that's what it's doing right here is it's triaging my inbox, it's analyzing everything in it. And what I'm going to do is it takes a minute or two for this to run, and that's incredibly boring for our audience. So I'm going to fast forward this to about call it minute 312, right about here. Okay, and so it's running, it's analyzed my inbox, and now it said, okay, well, in the last 24 hours, you got 634 messages, 81 of them are unread. Here's some messages from your chain of command, so it knows who your boss is. And so what it's doing is it's it's looking at your email and it's saying, okay, I'm seeing different kinds of emails. So the very first thing it says, I think I see a piece of spam that got in here, and I'm going to go ahead and recommend you delete it. I'm going to analyze it, and then I'm going to delete it. And then it's going to say to me, well, look, 77% of your inbox are auto replies or replies to emails you sent. And so I'm in the sales game. I send a lot of emails to prospective clients, inviting them to workshops and seminars and webinars and that sort of thing. I get all kinds of responses in my inbox. I get out of office replies. I get so and so no longer works here. I get bounces. I get all kinds of stuff. So my inbox can be a total mess on any given day. But that's why tools like these AI tools are very valuable. But what this determined is that there was a large percentage of my inbox is all these auto replies. And so what it recommended, what CopeWorks recommends, is it recommends that we create a rule to actually go and um, filter these various emails. And so it's, watching this video, yes, it's going to delete the spam message And after that's done, the next thing it's going to do, it's going to go in and build a rule for me to filter all of these emails that are related to kind of outbound campaigning. And so right now it's creating that rule, and it's checking the details. It's now creating the rule in my inbox, and it's asking me, it doesn't just go running away doing a bunch of automation on your inbox. It's fairly methodical in giving you options. And here it's saying, hey, I've built the rule. Do you want to save the rule? And then it's going to be like, now do you want to run the rule? And then it goes ahead and then runs the rule. So it's telling me what it did is it deleted the spam, it's built the rule. And the other thing it notices is hey, you've got like 112 messages that are newsletter oriented. I'm kind of a newsletter hound. Now, one thing to just say about my inbox is I actually use an email filtering service called SaneMail. And one of the things that SaneMail does is it allows you to organize inbound mail into different folders. And so Cowork is saying, hey, what do you want me to do with these 112 newsletters? Do you want me to archive them, delete them? And basically, I'm going to click the button that says skip archiving them because they've already been organized into folders and are kind of out of my way and to the side in various folders. So I'm going to just say here, skip, and then it skips that step. And then the very last thing it's going to do is it's now said, okay, now I've created this rule, I've run the rule, and now what I've got left over are kind of your high priority items in your inbox. So let me stop there. Brandon, are there any questions from our audience?
Yeah, we have a question about Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you have the M365 Copilot Premium, how long does it take for Cowork to be enabled once requested?
It is it is basically available. So it's basically available. So you just need to your administrator needs to basically just make sure it's turned on. and
Right.
and but it's generally available. And um uh so yeah. Yeah, so it's generally available. And your administrator basically needs to make sure it's enabled, and your administrator for your Microsoft 365 tenant needs to make sure they understand how the licensing works. Because the last thing you want to have happen is have like a runaway bill with a bunch of costs. Because I think one of the things that Brandon, Nathan, our director of security, Chuck, and everybody who's banging on this have noticed is that Cowork is not, it's not that cheap. Like, so, I think it's going to be an interesting scenario to see, um, to see how this pans out. But today, at a penny a credit, you can burn through quite a few credits doing fairly elementary things. And so, um, anyway, it's your administrator can turn it on, but your administrator needs to set up quotas for different users in the company and thresholds so that somebody, if they blow through all their credits, they stop spending. Or if they stop spending, then he or she can then give you more credits. But you really need to understand the economics of this before you go nuts with it. So, all right, so I'm going to show one more demo, and then I'm going to turn things over to Brandon. Okay, so the other thing that you can do with Cowork is simply ask it to get ready for a meeting. Now, the reason we're showing this in the email inbox webinar is because with AI tools, for many, many months, many, many quarters, say a year and a half, 2 years, we've already all had the ability to use an AI tool to get ready for a meeting. You might have your notes, you might have some prior notes from other meetings, you might have transcripts from prior meetings, you might have a report that's been generated that you want to do like an exec summary to go into a meeting. And you can take all of those and either build a project in Copilot, or you can do the same thing in Gemini or ChatGPT, and you can prep for the meeting by feeding it certain context and then prompting it to help you get ready for the meeting. That's been around for a long time. There's nothing earth-shattering about that. What's interesting about Cowork is you could simply just say, so a very simple prompt, help me prepare for the East Bay Founders meeting. And that was my prompt. East Bay Founders is a nonprofit organization I'm involved with that is works with startup founders in the San Francisco East Bay, and I'm one of the secretaries, and I do the event marketing for it, and I'm a volunteer. And we usually meet every Friday afternoon. And it's one of those meetings where I'm usually scrambling to get ready for it. But what this is showing is that with just a simple prompt, help me prepare for the East Bay Founders meeting, yeah, a cowork can go through and scour my entire inbox, my calendar. So the first thing it says, I see that this meeting is. So I ran this last week, and I see you have a session of this meeting on off Friday, August 14th. Okay, great. I know the meeting you need to get prepared for, and then it's able to actually go through my inbox and go through my email and go through everything that's in my Microsoft graph, if you will. So my inbox, my Teams messages, my calendar, my OneDrive, SharePoint, and it's actually able to go in there and actually make sense of the digital noise to help me actually get ready for this meeting and actually read those emails. So it reads those emails, it shows that you have 3 open items, and then it goes ahead and prepares an agenda for the meeting and says, hey, we need to make a go no go decision on this venue. We need to talk about one of our sponsors. We need to start talking about our speaker lineup for the September 23rd event. In any event, it creates an agenda. And to me, this is just like a killer app. I mean, this is what everybody really wants and needs, because we're also busy, we're also overwhelmed, and the ability to just with an AI tool do a simple prompt and um, you know and have it organize a um, organize you for a meeting and build you a detailed agenda. That's like pretty awesome. So
Yep.
2 demos. Turning it over to Brandon now. He's going to go even deeper. We're going to be doing sentiment analysis here in a moment. So
Yeah, fun stuff, fun stuff. Yeah, so thanks Ted for that. That's great. It's crazy even out of the box. Like Cowork has several things that you can use right out the box to make yourself more productive, even in the inbox and with your calendar, things like that. So great stuff there. So I'm going to be showing a few demos here. Hopefully we can get through all these. I think that we have some pretty good things here in the lineup that can help make you more productive when it comes to uh, your inbox and really finding those things that you really need to see that need your attention. That's kind of the thing that my whole process here has been around. What are some things that through all the muck, through all the the noise, what are some of the things that can help me find clarity? And so that's kind of what I built this on, these different things. So gonna share my screen here. All right, let's see. Just give me a second. So while I'm getting ready to share the screen, essentially, just want to let you know that there's a couple things I want to talk about first before we jump in when it comes to AI. One of the first things is AI, as we all know, is very powerful. There's a lot of things it can do, but many times it doesn't have the complete context around things. It's good about learning context the more you work with it, but there could be things about your business, about processes and things that may not have context to. And so sometimes you have to coach it. I've learned a lot during the process of working with AI that I have to coach it and kind of teach it what I'm actually trying to say or have it do. So just keep that in mind. And as Ted mentioned, there's 2 different AI environments I'll be in today. One is Copilot Cowork, the Microsoft version. That's just the Microsoft 365 Copilot business premium, the business license, I think is what we have there. And then I'll be using Claude, which is the Teams account that Ted mentioned earlier. And with the Teams account, I'll be accessing my 365 through Microsoft 365 connector that's connected through Claude. So, all right. So let's start with a practical question here. The first demo, as Ted mentioned, is around some rules. So he already mentioned some things about rules. We'll go a little bit further with that one. But a practical question is, where can we use AI once to create something that Outlook then can keep doing on its own? Because one of the things is with co-work especially is it's credit hungry, and it's going to try to use as much as you interact with it, it's going to use a lot of credits. And so the first one is, how can we create some rules that can save us AI credits? What are some things that it can do? So I'm going to pull up Cowork here. I'm in the chat function through the web browser. I'm just going to click on the Cowork tab, and I'm going to go to my first demo around creating rules in the inbox. So most of us have this problem. We have a bunch of important messages that are in our inbox. We have newsletters. We have, in my case, we're in IT. We have ticket notifications. We have alerts, and we have marketing emails. All this stuff is competing for our inbox and really creating a mess. And so rules are a very practical way of kind of clearing that noise, as I mentioned earlier. And this is kind of foundational. One thing I wanted to mention is this is foundational to the rest of these demos I'm going to do, because it's going to clear that noise even for AI. So it has less of a batch of emails it has to go through to do some of the tasks we're going to have it do. So the first one was a very basic prompt, create a rule that moves any email with unsubscribe, newsletter, sale, percent off in the subject or body, and move it into a folder called marketing and sales. So that was the first thing I just prompted it with, just something I was like, hey, can it do this? Let's see what it can do. So it went through my inbox, went through my mail folders, looked through the history. I think I gave it like maybe a couple weeks to go through just to get a little bit of um, uh, context there for it. And it went in and it created it gave me a rule to create. I don't have this here, but basically it said, hey, do you want to create this rule? I said, yes. And so we'll go into my Outlook and we'll see it created this marketing and sales folder and this rule that it will move this in. And essentially you'll see it has a few things here, some conditions that it added. Now there's a lot more here, and I'll talk about these in a minute, where it actually eventually it goes and does more. But it has in the keywords I wanted in the subject and body, and then it moves those into the marketing and sales folder. So it went ahead and did that for me, and essentially created that folder and started moving the mail in there. Now, I will say one thing with the rules. I kind of wanted to point this out because we're talking about rules here, and I wanted to be very clear here. When it comes to mail rules and Outlook, when you get an email, they process through the rules from top to bottom. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're creating rules. So if say there's a rule in the say there's one of the little conditions in the marketing sales rule that might catch something else that I might want in a different folder, I need to make sure that rule is above my marketing and sales rule that I have here in Outlook. So just wanted to point that out. The second thing I wanted to mention about this is that when you create a rule in Outlook, it's usually set from a point in time. So when you create a rule, say today, it's going to start applying to emails coming in after that point in time that I set up that rule. So there's one thing to keep in mind. You can actually have it retroactively go back and look through your inbox. And so I'm in the web version right now of Outlook. The desktop version is very similar here, but you can go in, you can click on the rule in Outlook Web, you can click on the dots here, click the run rule now. What that will do is it will go through and start processing all those previous emails to clear this out. So that was the first thing I did with that. Now the second thing was, I was thinking, okay, I told it something to do. How about it goes and does some research for me and figures out what are some other rules that I need. So my next prompt here is, hey, can you review my inbox for other types of emails that I am getting that could be cluttering my inbox that I'm not capturing yet? And so it went through all my mail. It did like a few days because there's a ton of messages in my box, and I didn't want it to burn a lot of credits going back 30, 90 days, something like that. So it went through and it settled down 3 different rules that it found. For me, ticket notifications, get a ton of those. Being in the IT space, system alerts, get a lot of those. And the other one was travel, which is kind of funny. I think it was just because I had booked a couple travel that week where it ran, and it was like, hey, you're getting a lot of these this week. So it went ahead and I was like, hey, yeah, go ahead and build those rules for that. So it went through and created those rules, and we can see here that it built out the ticket notifications rule, had a couple things in there. It built out the system alerts and the travel for me. So all this was done, I would say, probably in a matter of 5 minutes. Not very much time there for it to go through and find a lot of different email that it could clear out. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can take this one more step further. What if I didn't have to come in here and do this all the time? What if I could have Copilot Cowork do this on a weekly basis without me even being here interacting with it? So I said, I'm gonna go down here to this one. Can we set up a trigger? So what a trigger is, just so you know, is when something meets the criteria of that event, it will trigger this rule, and then it will react upon that trigger. So I said, can you set up a trigger that runs once a week where it reviews the previous week for any repetitive emails or outside unwanted emails that I could create a rule for or update a rule. So maybe not only create one, but maybe it could actually go and update an existing rule that's already there and follow that process. So I told it to do that. It went through and it first thing it flagged me, and I appreciate it for this, was, okay, do you really want me to go and automatically do that once a week on and guess what rules you need, or do you want to be more safe about it? So it gave me a prompt of different things that I could choose. It gave me the option to choose. I was like, okay, if it's something that is, you know, it's definitely clutter or some kind of maybe cold email marketing, something like that, it's safe to go ahead and add that into the rule. But if it's something that could potentially hide client email or something I want to see, ask me first before it does that. So I told it to do that, and then it said, well, when would you want to set this up? I said, okay, let's do 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. So right before I get on a Monday morning, it'll go through all the previous week, and it can go ahead and do that before I even start. And to show you real quick, just wanted to point this out real quick. It actually created this scheduled task or this trigger for me when I told it what I wanted it to do. Now I didn't figure out what all to put in here. It did it on its own. It created this instruction here on its own. I just had to answer a couple questions, which was great. So so it created this for me. And one thing I wanted to kind of point out with these triggers, I did learn this in this process because I haven't done a whole lot of triggers through Copilot Cowork yet. But one thing that I learned was that if you work on the rule because you want it to do certain things or fix something, it will pause your scheduled task, and you just need to go in there and turn it back on to active. So just so you know, that's one of the things to keep in mind there. All right. So now we have some rules. We have this process going on a weekly basis. It's cleaning out our email, cleaning out our inbox. It's clearing out the clutter. So now that we have that notice gone, what actually deserves my attention? So that's the next demo we're coming in is how can we figure out what actually deserves our attention now that we've used some rules to kind of clear out the clutter there. So the next demo is going to be building an AI inbox command center. So that sounds kind of fun. So if you're like me, you get a lot of email, especially when you come back from a few days being out on vacation or out of the office. You come back, you have hundreds of unread emails, and they're all calling your name, and you're like, how do I know which one of those deserves my attention? That's one of the things, because my concern is I don't want to miss something that's important, that has a deadline or something that a client really needs from me. I want to make sure that that's top of mind. And a lot of people these days can get lost in just the inbox. And so I was playing around with Claude. So I'm going to pull up my Claude here. And just so you know, real quick, when you first start a new chat with Claude, this is what it looks like here. Instead of being on the chat tab here in Claude, I am now on the cowork tab. So the cowork tab here, this is where I started my instruction for the AI Command Center. So just wanted to point that out there. And want to reiterate with Claude that I had to set up a 365 connection through their connector. And I didn't mention this earlier, but one thing I do want to point out is that when you set up these connections, there are permissions that are set on that connector. With the Teams account, you do have an admin over your account. They are the ones that say, what permissions each connector can have, which ones you can actually connect to your Claude. So it's just good to know, like when you're setting this up, that there may be things that Claude could do, but because of permissions, it's only allowed to do read only or something like that on these different tasks. So just want to point that out. Keep in mind that if I'm showing something here that you're not able to do, or maybe I'm showing something that I'm like, hey, I couldn't do this, but you're like, hey, well, I can do that. Well, it might be because the security permissions in place are just kind of locking that connection down a little bit to keep it safe from according to what our guidelines are. So now that we had the rules in place, we got some predictable clutter now. I wanted to build this dashboard that I call the AI inbox command center. I didn't come up with that. Actually, this is like my third time building this for the demo. I also wanted to be respectful to my customers, so I had it build it with some sample data. So you'll see that here. And I will mention this, when you are, and I know I keep stopping here, but there's some very important things when you're building things out. When you're building out something like this, it's very important that if you want to save on credits, because cowork is even Cloud Cowork has a usage limit that you have, and so once you run out, you got to wait till your next time frame of allotment, whatever their rotation is for that. And it's good to know that when you're building something out like this, if you use test data, so you don't actually have it going and live reading your inbox to do something like what I'm about to do, it can save a lot of credits and also allows you to build something like this command center and get it just right so that when you go to actually pull your data in, you don't have to like keep telling it to do things to fix certain features or whatever you want, and it has to keep pulling back data through your Outlook connection. So it'll save you some credits just to do it as to set up with sample data, and then once you get it set right, you tell it, hey, go do the actual inbox. So here, there's three things I wanted this to answer for me. What needs my attention? What do I owe other people? So what commitments have I made that I haven't followed up on? And who am I waiting on? What are commitments that were made to me that have not been that someone hasn't gotten back to me yet? Those are three things I thought were very important going into an inbox full of clutter. So it took its first attempt based off that prompt, and it built something that I wasn't very proud of. And so I don't even have that here because it overwrote it when I actually had it fix it. But the thing is, just I wanted to mention this, sometimes it might not be exactly what you want. And so I was like, okay, I went to my actual live dashboard that I built with working data, and I was like, here's what it built. I took a screenshot of what it built here. I put it into the chat of my working one. I was like, hey, what could I say to this other Claude chat to get something that actually mirrors what I have here with my live data. So it gave me this long prompt, and I'm not going to read it, but it was basically pointing out all the things that were different, all the things that it could have done better. It gave me a lot of different things, and so it went through and started making some changes here. Uh, there were certain things around like how the cards would show up that weren't right, or the filters I wanted weren't right, or like my vacation. I have like a little. I'll show you in a second. I have a little vacation button where I can, see a point in time of how many days I was out to see what came in those days. So again, it came back not exactly what I wanted. So I took a screenshot of my working one that I liked. I was like, okay, I brought that to this one. This is what this chat is here. It was a screenshot from my other one, and I brought it here, and I said, can you just make it look like this? All right, so here's what we got. Just want to show. I just wanted to preface that sometimes you have to work back and forth with it to get what you want. So essentially, I got this, what I call the AI inbox command center, and it answers three questions: needs my attention, what I owe somebody, or what they owe me. And it has a couple different features here. It has a date range, so I can see what came in the last 24 hours that meets those criteria, the last 7 days, and the last 14 days. And I did 14 days because typically if I'm out or I'm away from my inbox, it's not more than 14 days. And so that kind of gives me a good date range of catch up, essentially. The next thing it did was it it then started following what I wanted. And again, this is all fictitious data, sample data, but I just wanted to show you what it would look like. So the first group of emails here are what are ones that someone has sent me an email to me. I'm in the two, or I'm in the body. They're calling me out by name, and I haven't seen the email yet, and I haven't replied to it. And so it gives you some data around that, like why this matters, what suggested action you should do, what they said, what open items. It even goes back and correlates some of the open items I have in with that client or that particular user, and tells me, hey, this is what open item you have with them. It also shows me the latest exchanges I had with them, the dates and times for those. And so it gives me kind of a good insight into this email message here that maybe I wouldn't have seen when I'm looking at my inbox, because there's just so many, but it kind of pulls that to the forefront. It also gives me the reason, it gives me a way to draft a reply. So like I said, I have a read-only connection here. I recommend that for most part, if because this is basically just an overlay. This is not your Outlook. This should not replace Outlook. This is just somewhere you can go for a quick insights into what's important. But I did build into it to have like a draft, a reply, so it could take the context of the emails, and it gave me a few options like, hey, and also one thing I didn't say, I also told it scan my, and on my working one, I told it scan my sent email and learn how I speak and the way that I talk, so that when you draft replies, they're drafting my voice. So that was one of the other things I wanted it to do. And so we have a draft reply here. It starts with a basic reply. It gives you an option to make it shorter if it's something real short, warmer. So some options here to kind of make it maybe according to how I should be responding to that email. So just wanted to point that out. That's got a draft reply. You can copy that into your actual working email and reply, and then just adjust it, to finalize to make more sense. So the other tab I had was, well, what do I owe people? So this is the one where it's pulling in emails that I may owe someone something. I might have said, hey, I'll send this to you at this time, or I'll get back to you on that, or whatever it is. And this is email here that I promised something that it has not seen that I have given that over. So just keep in mind, this is AI. It may not be perfect. It may miss some things here. So like I said, this is just more of a quick glance into your inbox of things that you should address, but doesn't replace you actually going through your inbox and looking at those things. And it has a lot of the same features here that were in that first part of the demo. So I don't want to go through all those. The last one, they owe me. So these are the ones that through this tab up here, these are the ones that people owe me something. So it's just kind of good. This is just good because you might not always have top of mind things that you're waiting on, and so you can always use that to kind of, you can use this to be reminded of things that, hey, this is out there. I probably should follow up with so and so. And again, same kind of logic here. You can draft a reply. Has a lot of the same things in the email that kind of point out your last exchanges, open items, things like that. So
Hey,
this is,
Brandon.
yep.
Quick question. So where does this little application live?
Good question. Thank you for bringing that up. So, and I meant to explain this at the beginning. So this is what Claude calls an artifact. And so an artifact, just in simple terms, is like a mini web application or a mini web page that's hosted inside of your Claude instance. It's, instead of having to stand up your own server or stand up like a web server, Claude can do these little mini apps for you, and they're hosting it for you. So it lives up here in the top left under artifacts. So these are all different artifacts I have that I've been working on, and so it is a, well, that's not the right one, but it is a live artifact that has data that will update. One thing I also wanted to mention is that I told it when I was working on it, I was like, I want to see every morning at 6:30 a.m. I want you to update this with fresh data, fresh emails that may have come in since I looked at it last. And so I told it to do that, and it basically built me a schedule here that will run every morning at 6:30 a.m. Or if my computer's not on at 6:30 a.m., as soon as I come in, turn my computer on, it will catch back up on some of these scheduled tasks that I haven't run yet. So this is one that's it's pretty cool as well. It can keep you up to date on your dashboard there. And that was just a simple command of, hey, can you schedule this to run once a day on the weekdays at this time? That's all I had to say to it, and it was able to build this schedule for me. All right, so uh, need to speed up here. So essentially, we've got rules that are cleaning up our inbox. We now can see into our inbox, hey, what needs our attention? The next one is the client sentiment barometer. This one is pretty cool because you get a lot of emails from clients, a lot of back and forth, and there may be some issues that are going on that you might not know, like just because you see you only see email at that point in time, but maybe there's some other emails that are showing, hey, there's some growing frustration or growing, maybe negative sentiment or something. I just want to have an insight into it because they might not always tell you, hey, this relationship is becoming a problem, or that we have these frustrations. They may not outwardly tell you that, but they may be telling you it in the emails that they're sending. So I thought, hey, could we build a dashboard that would show us over the last 90 days, if it scanned all my emails and it just reviewed all the customer emails that I get, could it come up with a barometer to show me, hey, these clients are the ones that they might be going in the wrong direction, and you need to get in front of them. And again, this doesn't replace your processes that you have outside of this, working with clients and customer sentiment and things like that, but it is a good way to get a quick uh, look into maybe how your customers are feeling based off what they're saying to you that you're not picking up from your email. So quick prompt here, look through my Outlook inbox over the last 90 days and build me a customer sentiment dashboard. Now we're still in Claude, just so you know. First, work out who my real clients are from the mail pattern. So I was like, hey, I want to know who are actually clients, and I want you to try to help me figure that out, and use two-way conversations between these people to figure out who my clients are. I said to filter out vendors, distributors, ISPs, newsletters, ticket notifications, filter out some of this noise. And then I want you to score each client on a 0 to 100, based off what you get. And I gave it some additional parameters here. I won't go into everything I said, but basically I want it to be certain that it's basing its data off, the full message was one thing. I did want to say, hey, I want you to look at the full message, not just the subject, not just the preview. I want you to actually look into each message. I will say for this one in particular that I would definitely recommend, if you want to run something like this, I would recommend that data, the fake data. Sorry, I want you to do sample data for this one, because when it went to look at 90 days worth of my email, it took about 2 hours to get through all that. And so just want you to know, if you're trying to build this dashboard and you want it to look a certain way before it goes and scans all this data and uses a bunch of credits to do it, just know, hey, let's do some sample data. Let's get this thing looking right first, and then come back and run it over our live data. So, all right, I'm going to show you here real quick. Just went back and forth. There was a couple things I wanted it to do, that it didn't do exactly how I wanted, but a few conversations with Claude, and we got something pretty good here. So this is the client sentiment dashboard. This is also an artifact, like I mentioned earlier, just a mini web page that has live data that you can interact with. So it has like a little barometer here. So this is kind of like a, you know, off this test data, we got a 63 right now out of 100. So it looks like, hey, maybe we have a few relationships here we need to tend to. It tells me what it calls the coldest account, or maybe the most at-risk account here. It gives me, hey, these 3 accounts need action. You need to look at these. Here's another one that I thought was kind of cool, is this account's been kind of quiet lately. Maybe you should check in and see how things are going there. So it gives me like this quiet account check-in, it called it. And then a couple that it said, hey, there's not enough signal. You haven't been doing enough messages with these clients, so I don't really have a good way of giving you a score. So then it gives me like a top 3 here of, hey, these are the 3 you should check in with. It gives me, hey, here's a quiet client that you need to probably reach out to. It's been 74 days since you've talked with this Pinnacle Orthopedics. You might want to you might want to reach out and just kind of touch base and see how they're doing. This next piece is pretty cool. This is one of the things I told it to do. I was like, could it actually take all the feedback from the emails that I was getting, and could it create like a improvement strength uh, like chart based off like different things, different services that we do, or different areas of our business. And so it came up with this, needs improvement, doing well thing, like basically, hey, project delivery and timeliness. There's been a lot of emails that have been kind of negative about how your project delivery's been. Maybe we should, look into that. Reliability and uptime, SLA for ticketing system. SLA is important. And like, our people have been complaining about, people not getting to their tickets fast enough. And so that's kind of cool to know. Like, hey, these things need improvement. But then also on the other side, hey, here's some things that we're doing well, and maybe we should go praise the team about this. Hey, they've been doing really good with incident response and security. You've been doing good with relationships. So this is kind of a quick view into, hey, what are some things that I need to talk to the team about and we work on? What are some of the things we're doing well, and we kind of keep pushing them and praising them around that. So I thought this was pretty cool here that it did this. And then going into like the coldest account here, this is some of the stuff that it gave us. And remember when I first was talking about this, I wanted it to have evidence on its claims, because if it didn't have enough evidence, I didn't want it to tell me that something was either cold or hot. So it brings in like some of the latest emails that I got, what dates I got them, and what was said in those emails, what it based this sentiment off of. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then it also gives you a recommended next step. Hey, you need to call Dr. This guy next week, and give him a firm date on when you're going to get that firewall installed, because that's what he was saying we needed to do. Again, this is all fictitious data. This is not real clients here, but just wanted to just point that out, that you can use this in a way to understand your client base just based off what they're telling you in emails that they might not be telling you in person. They might be telling you out loud. So it's kind of good to get that. All right, I'm going to move into the next one. I actually am going to skip over the draft emails, draft email, and I got 2 more after that one. If I get time at the end, I'll come back to it. But the next one will be our demo around automatically managing your calendar. So we're going to hop back into co-work here. So this one's kind of fun. This one I was thinking of, are there events or maybe a webinar or something where I'm being asked to join something, and maybe it gets buried in the noise, or maybe it got pulled in by one of those rules that I created earlier and it got hidden into a folder somewhere. How could I bring that up to my attention so that I don't miss one of those going forward? And a great one I did this demo on was, there is this company, this great company that does a webinar or a few webinars every couple months, or every month they have webinars, and I don't want to miss one of those. So how could I create something to help me have that on my calendar and notify me to go sign up? So I basically started with a prompt here. What
And
all can
Brandon, just for me to interrupt from behind the scenes, who, pray tell, is that amazing company that's putting on excellent webinars that no one should want to miss?
Oh yeah. So SnapTech IT, here we go. So basically, I told her, I said, what all can we do for emails that are coming from a specific domain that we want to flag as important, especially if it's a SnapTech IT webinar? Is there a way to automatically flag it? I said sign up for it and put it on my calendar. I was like, hey, could you even sign up for me on it? It came back and said no, it couldn't sign up for me for it, but it could do a lot more than, or not do a lot more. It could do what I asked it for. So first thing is like, hey, yeah, I can flag an email. That's automatic. That email comes in. Whatever your parameter is for this trigger that you set up. Remember earlier, triggers are things that can act on emails as they come in or as events happen. So what trigger? So mine was set to SnapTech IT as the domain as the trigger, and a keyword like webinar in the subject. All right, auto register. No, it's like I can't do that. Put it on your calendar. Yeah, it can go ahead and reserve the time on a calendar. It said it could do that, and so, and it gave me some questions here. What's the sender domain? I was like, yeah, snaptechit.com is the sender domain I want this to trigger on. Should the automation apply to every email from that domain or only the ones like webinars? I said webinars because I don't want to miss any of those going forward. And which pieces should I set up? Pick all that you want. I was like, yeah, I want you to do an inbox rule to flag it. I want you to do an auto calendar hold, and I want you to ping me in Teams with the link. So I was very excited about this one because I was like, you know what? It's going to ping me in Teams, and that's going to be awesome because I'll know when this webinar comes in. Well, I'm going to tell you that did not work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. So I want to be very candid. When I told it to ping me in Teams, it did message me in Teams. But if you go into your Teams, and maybe I can actually show you real quick here. If you go into your Teams, you'll notice at the very top that you have your own little chat here. And yeah, it'll definitely ping you in here about these webinars that are coming up, but it does not give you, it does not notify you like a regular Teams message. So I was like, okay, it pinged me in Teams, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do. I wanted to actually ping me so I'd know. So what did it suggest instead? All right. So I went back and forth, kept testing with it, and it finally settled on this method. So I want to show you what happened. First thing it did was I got the email that came in. So here's that webinar email. This is not a real webinar from SnapTech IT. This is a demo just for the purposes of this rule, but I wanted to point this out. It came in, yeah, you're invited to the SnapTech IT webinar on incident response planning for mid-market. And so it came in, has a date, time. Immediately what it did was it flagged as important and it labeled it as a webinar. And then all right, go look at the calendar here. So December 9th, go all the way out there. It put it on my calendar here as a hold in December. And then here's how it did the notification or the trigger. It created a little alert on my calendar that was like 5 minutes after I got that invite, after it processed it. And so within 5 minutes of getting that webinar thing, I had a pop-up in my calendar saying, hey, there's this awesome webinar coming up on December 9th. Here's your registration link. And boom, there, I won't miss it. I can click on it, I can register. And now, whatever event that is, I'll be sure I'm there to at least have it on my calendar and attend it if I can. So pretty cool. And so that's one of the ones I think if we take anything from here, that's the one you guys need to sign up for is the SnapTech IT webinar trigger. All right, so looks like we have about 2 minutes here. Do you have enough time for the last one, or you think we probably need to
go
wrap
ahead.
up?
Go ahead, Brandon. We'll take it quick, and then we'll
All right. All right, last one here. So this one's pretty cool. This is what we want to call a prepare me for my day. So what if AI could go through all of your previous emails from the day before, what actions you took, because it can look through your Teams, look through your OneDrive, look through your SharePoint. You can see all the activity that you had from the previous day. What if it could go through that and prepare you a morning continuity brief is what I call it. It could just tell you, hey, this is what you're working on. This is what you have coming up. This is what you still need to get to. And what if it could do that? So I set up this dashboard here in Claude called the morning continuity brief. All right. And this is what it is. It basically said, okay, here's all the tasks. And this is all fictitious data, by the way. This is the tasks that you had. These are all completed. These are all the tasks that you have in progress still based off what you were working on. And here's some next steps based off some things that you were working on as well. This is what you should be doing. And then here's some commitments that you made that you need to be reminded of. Here is you waiting on others, some things where, I'm waiting on them. So it kind of took some of my AI inbox. It's kind of funny it did that. It took some of my logic from the AI inbox command center and fed it into this morning continuity brief. Gives me my deadline and risk, and then what's relevant for today. So real quick, I just want to show you I didn't show you this, but I'm going to show you the prompt that I did to build this real quick here. Pretty simple. I think this is a pretty simple one. Well, no, it's not. Okay, it's a little bigger. But essentially, review the previous day across my Outlook email, Teams chats, channel conversations, calendar activity, meeting notes, transcripts, and any accessible OneDrive and SharePoint documents that I worked on, and create a concise morning continuity brief. And so, kind of gave it some parameters. I want done, I want a in progress, I want next steps, I want commitments, I want waiting on others, deadlines and risk, and then what's relevant for today. And then for every item, it has some things here that it did. I want to include the source date and time, some facts, some other things like that. And again, I wanted it to be read only because I didn't want it to make any changes or anything, just to tell me what was going on. And last, I created a scheduled task up here where I just told Claude essentially, all right, now that you've created this dashboard, can you schedule every day to refresh it with the fresh data for the next day? And so as we can see tomorrow, it'll be running at 7:30 a.m. To update, our dashboard there. So sorry for that quick one there. I just wanted to kind of throw that in. It's kind of a cool one where you can, have it prepare you for your next day. On that, sorry, this is the client sentiment dashboard, but the brief is the same way. It'll prepare me for the next day. So yeah, sorry, that was a quick one there on the last piece, but hopefully you guys have some ideas. I think the point of this was to get some ideas around things where you could use Claude or Cowork to do some things that can save you time really quick before you even finish your first cup of coffee, essentially.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that was a ton of information. Um, and just Brandon, great job. Um, I think, I think just one comment, if you've never played with Claude Cowork, it's kind of hard to understand how powerful it is. Like so many of the things you showed there, um, you really can build like just native web apps that are like a personalized productivity tool for yourself, which is what you showed. So you showed how to, I mean, this was kind of almost like a 201 course on how to tame your inbox, but you also showed all the native capabilities that are available inside Microsoft Copilot Cowork, and a lot of the ways that rules and triggers are really easy to implement for more basic applications. So we kind of got a 101 and a 201 all in one shot. Thank you so much for that, Brandon. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you want to join us, we're going to be talking in September about the growing AI skills gap, which is how do Brandon is a superstar. Not every company is going to have so many superstars. How do you raise up the skill levels of your team? That's what we're going to be talking about. And obviously, training and enablement is something all leaders need to be thinking about so that everybody on your team is like leaning in hard on AI to figure out ways to become more productive. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and use that QR code to register and join us in September. This is another SnapTech IT webinar. Thanks a lot, Brandon, for joining us. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye now.